So let's just get started. So this is one of the questions I get most is how do we get started? And where do we begin? Because it's so daunting. It seems so daunting. So many disabilities, such a large spectrum for each one. So I thought we'd get 5 panelists here from DMOs to really see how they got started. So let's begin with Jennifer Christie. Jenna?
Yeah.
So 5 minutes each.
5 minutes, okay. I will just get to the highlights real quick then. So I was lucky enough to attend a few years ago my first Travelability Summit in Orlando. And I met a lot of really great people and realized then that somebody said, just do something. You don't have to try to cover everything, just try to figure out something. And so I figured for us, Loudoun, actually, I'm sorry, let me go back. Loudoun, Virginia is Northern Virginia. We are a suburb of Washington, D.C. When you fly into Washington Dulles International Airport, you are actually landing in Loudoun County. So I just thought at that point, what could we do? And for us, I think the biggest thing was really letting our partners understand that there was a world out there that they were not paying attention to. So for us, it was really about industry education. So we started with engaging with Rosemarie Rossetti, and many of you may know her. If you don't, I would recommend that you look her up. She's an inclusivity and disability accessibility expert. And so we spoke with her a lot about what all of that means and how we should be talking to our partners. She wrote 4 articles for us, 3 of them for our industry partners, and 1 for a leisure audience, sort of outlining how Loudoun could be traveled and all of the great things that you could do there. We had her provide an industry training, and then we had her do a lodging outlook forum for our hotel partners. And it reminded me very much of the hotel panel that you had this morning, only reverse. We had all of our hoteliers in the audience who wanted data for their forecasting for the next year. And they were gonna get it, but they had to sit first and listen to Rosemarie, who talked with them about what it really meant to be welcoming. And that was really great for all of them to hear. So we started there. We have done a lot of other industry training since then. One of the things that we are working on now is sensory kits. We did do some sensory kits. We call them our Welcome Here sensory kits. We unveiled those at our annual meeting. We had our annual meeting keynote speaker was Beth Zimdars. She's a full-time wheelchair user. And the Smithsonian Institution's head diversity officer and director of Access Smithsonian. That was really fantastic to have her there at our annual meeting. We unveiled those sensory kits there and also a new program that at the time was a training provided by Thompson Center for Neurological Research. That training, again called Welcome Here, was for our industry partners for them to understand how to work with visitors who were coming into their businesses who were neurodiverse. We knew that with that training, we needed to go further. We needed to add in, am I going to get numbers here to tell me when to stop? We needed to add in more, and so we wanted to do, expand that training and include mobility challenges as well as hearing impaired and visually impaired. So that was the second phase, and we launched that at the beginning of this year. We put out an RFP, and we contracted with our local ARC chapter to do that. And I'll actually be talking more about that at 4:20 if anyone's interested in learning how to work with your local ARC chapter. So that's where we are.
ARC is the local intellectual disability organization.
It is, yes. And when they
and they've created a lot of practice sessions for airlines, you know, for the air experience.
Absolutely, and they had to contract as part of their proposal. They had to contract with mobility experts to make it a well-rounded training for our industry. So
okay, so Connor, let's go to you.
Hey everyone, my name is Connor. I'm the Destination Development Manager with Travel Lane County. Our brand is known as Eugene Cascades and Coast because we represent Lane County, Oregon, and our main city is Eugene, Oregon, home of the #1 college football team in the nation, Sco Ducks. Had to get that out there, very important. So in terms of how we got started, so a couple years back, what we do as an organization, we host an annual visitor industry celebration. We convene a lot of our hospitality partners and other community-based organizations to just really celebrate tourism, and it's an opportunity to hand out awards to a lot of community-based organizations doing great work. And a couple years back, we handed an award out to two individuals named Ginevra and Sue, who formed a hearing loss advocacy group within the county, and through their advocacy work installed a hearing loop, which think of it as a device that allows those with hearing aids to hear audio clearly. They managed to get installed at our largest arts and culture center in the city. So we gave them this award, and kind of over the course of, this was 2021, over the course of the next few years, we also observed what a lot of our neighbors and partnering destination management organizations were doing, and seeing kind of news and buzz around them investing heavily into accessibility, and kind of seeing those press releases and news were like, well, hey, we can't fall behind. We got to join in, right? And be aligned in this mission as a state. So through that, for the first time through our annual budget, we allocated about $20,000 to accessibility, and kind of thinking through okay, maybe we can help Ginevra and Sue with maybe installing a couple hearing loops, just like the theater that they installed. And well, we actually, during that time, Travel Oregon, as you heard, as they're allocating a lot of grant money to the local DMOs in our area, we used those $20,000 actually as matching funds to leverage up to $70,000 to invest purely in more hearing loops to all the various venues, hotels, all those partners kind of within our region, to really compound the good work that Ginevra and Sue did. So we formed this partnership to roll out a program in which we subsidize the cost for these hearing loops for a lot of our member organizations. And that was roughly last year. So through that partnership, kind of the experience of working with a lot of these members, kind of in terms of understanding the engagement or lack thereof, a lot of those organizations that really embraced joining the subsidy program, heck yeah, we want a hearing loop. A lot of public and nonprofit entities were the one that were really gung-ho about it. In terms of engagement from hospitality and for-profit, it got a little trickier because the conversation of return on investment came up, and there's some hesitancy in terms of their engagement. But over the course of the year, we managed to kind of get roughly 40 of those organizations looped. So over the course, we managed to kind of work with them, but working through that kind of ROI question was a bit of a hurdle. And so once we kind of did that with this year, we're okay, what else can we do to expand upon this work? So we allocated an additional $5,000 for more hearing loops to continue rolling out this program, but added another $25,000 just for accessibility projects across the board. This time more so using that as seed money to give to community-based organizations that really were focused on physical accessibility accommodations that we can put at outdoor rec spots within our destination. So the main two were David's chair, was an all-terrain track chair that guests can reserve if they have a mobility need, and can basically now access the beach, the sand, which they can't do in a standard wheelchair. And we also compounded that with getting Moby mats, which is the mats that you can use to kind of allow wheelchair users and people with mobility needs to access the beach as well, thanks to kind of working alongside with partners like the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. So really kind of finding ways to strategically kind of give seed money to community-based organizations, and then leveraging partnerships and grant opportunities coming from the top, from the state, and then also from our regional partners to really just compound and add more accommodations within our destination. And then the last little bit in terms of ROI, because our journey is still pretty new, we didn't really focus too much on ROI from a financial investment or return, but it's really the touch points and the engagement with the community, and just the stories you hear from visitors who are I now can access the beach for the first time. I was teary-eyed the first time I got into a David's chair. Like, those type of stories are the ones that you really, I think, want to capture, because as storytellers in the tourism industry, we want to leverage those, continue communicating those stories to then get more engagement and empathy towards this type of work, and hopefully getting more partnerships formed. So, thank you.
Okay, Alex.
Okay. Hello, I'm Alex Zimdars with Visit Milwaukee. We went a little bit of a different route. We're very, very fortunate in Milwaukee to have incredible community partners who are doing accessibility work every single day. From the Ability Center, who helped create a program called Ramp Up MKE, which provides adaptable equipment at our ice rink, on our beach. They tout it as the world's most accessible beach because they created a concrete ramp to the Moby mat, which then goes all the way into the water, and provided free water wheelchairs as well at the beach. So incredible work that all of you in this room should know about and might not. And that's where Milwaukee's problem lands, is the marketing and messaged storytelling, to your point, of these things that these partners are doing. So a few years back, a group of our marketing department recognized the lack of helpful information on our website, and we started there. And to your point of just do something, we know we're not the experts, so we created a simple landing page that linked out to all the people who are. Made it very simple for you to know who to call at a theater, who to call about transportation, who to call about those things. And then we really led all of our content with accessibility in mind. Our senior communication manager, who hosts all of our influencers, has hosted 3 influencers, a deaf influencer, Curve-Free Corey Lee, who you all know, and then a sensory-friendly influencer as well. If you're not aware, Mick Foley from WWE, his daughter, Noel, is a sensory adventure influencer, and she has over 1 million followers, and she's incredible. She is a wonderful influencer, so if you haven't connected with her. And then we also rolled out a program called our Community Casting Call, in which we were looking for a way to highlight Milwaukeeans in our photography and our marketing and our videos in a way that was authentic, so that Milwaukeeans felt a pride in being part of Visit Milwaukee. So we put out a call for volunteers. We got over 400 applicants to be in all of our photo shoots, so especially smaller DMOs who might not have money for models or those types of things. When you start getting into casting agencies, we give them a gift card, but then everything they do and the experiences they have are free. And we were so lucky to span, I keep saying -3 months because we had a pregnant woman, all the way up to 69 years old. And then everything in between, from ethnicity and cultural background and identity and ability. And those people have come out in droves. And every time we put out a call, we get 30 to 40 respondents. And it's super incredible. But it's allowed us to show Milwaukee in a really authentic light, and not be really intentional about our imagery, not just showing, oh, plop the wheelchair in the corner, make sure they know this place is accessible. We have cochlear implants, we have, again, those beach wheelchairs. We show off that accessible, but it's Milwaukeeans doing it, and it creates a sense of pride and creates micro-influencers, because then every single time you post that photo, they get really excited. So I think my biggest takeaway for everybody would be, what are you doing already that might not have an accessibility first focus? Budgets you already have that are already approved by the boards, and you don't have to go back into ROI and all of those things. How do you infuse what you're doing now and make sure that accessibility stays at the forefront? I always raise my hand in a meeting and go, what about for accessibility? What about for, be that person in your DMO leaving this space. So when they say, well, we're hosting an influencer, I go, how many of them are accessible based? Then they all roll their eyes, but then it happens and it's there. Just being that advocate within, and again, it can start as small as things we're already doing, content we already have, and just making sure that accessibility and all DEI initiatives are at the front of that.
Okay, so Beth.
Too microphones. Don't give me 2 microphones. Hi, my name is Beth Javens. I'm the executive director for Visit Concord in California, just about 25 miles over the Silver Bridge here. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm wearing all black. I have high shoes on, and if I was standing up, I'd be 5'7". I am the proud recipient and inheritant of a grant from the City of Concord through ARPA, which was a sensory program. I inherited it a year and a half ago. I had help, my previous administration, all credit to them, and Leslie Walker with Tourism Alabama, who helped us create the program, and then all credit to my team going forward as we're trying to get it to the finish line, because it does have a finite grant ending. It's December 31st for us to respond to the KPIs. I'm going to sort of start at the end because I'm going to run out of time. I know I am. And the end is much spicier and juicier than the beginning. If you would have asked me a year and a half ago if I would be having conversations with JSX Airlines and putting sensory kits in their terminals and on their planes in Concord, Napa, and Oakland, I probably would have not believed you, though I'm fairly confident in skills. At the time when I inherited the program, it was really about getting 150 free hotel stays out the door to families with kids or adults who are on the spectrum. And when I came in at that time, we didn't have any, although we were doing a lot of training and a lot of capital investment in the program. So a lot of work went into it. Our job was then now to execute and make sure that we can give those rooms away, and our DMO paid for them through the grant. So I would say the beginning of the wave for people investing and coming to the program was through the media. Getting our very first press in the East Bay Times and the Mercury News here in the San Francisco Bay Area really started that wave of interest for families. And even though we reached about 60 families initially, only about half of them were actually coming and staying. And it really showed us how hard it is for families and adults to travel. And so we continued to reach out through our emails. Subsequent press, we had another wave of interest with groups, but I was really nervous this spring thinking we were not going to make that grant KPI, and that there's some money there on the table if we don't. So we reached out to our local schools, Facebook groups, Google ads. We created a sensory stayover program that we advertised, and the group component of that proved to be very successful, and that is where we saw the next 2 waves of groups coming. So about 80 rooms have just come in the last 3 months, which is going to allow us to make our grant KPIs. Whew, okay. But more importantly, it's serving a great need in our communities. And so I brought our sensory kit here. It's quite hefty. You can take a look at it if you haven't seen one or if you don't know what goes in it. Our kit, this kit, is going to be pared down for the JSX partnership. It will have the air coverings. It'll have some other things that won't have the weighted blanket. But we're very excited to be continuing to partner with other corporate partners. We've got that sort of going off in my brain there on how we can continue to do that. Takeaways, definitely start somewhere. This was a very new program for me. Do the best that you can with that thing and build trusted partnerships in your community. I can tell you, I took out a couple visited venues that were being promoted that were not up to standard, and I would not send a family to them. So just making sure we reach out to the city and correct some of those deficiencies with our venues. Our hotel partners, these rooms come right to me. The requests come to me or they come through my office, and then we set those up with the hotel. So a lot of the comments that were made by the hoteliers earlier about tracking, things that Allison said, about promoting these programs. We have these great programs, but how do we really know how to get the word out? We track them independently, so we know exactly through surveys how rooms are being booked, but they can't be booked just online anywhere. But anyway, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to talk about the nuances of the program that we have evolved. Thank you.
Very unique starting positions here, so just completely different. Jackie?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Danyluk. I'm the marketing manager at Visit Seattle. I am wearing a beige and red striped cardigan and some dark pants. I think we kind of very similar to everyone on stage here really took the approach of how do we even get started, right? There's so much that we want to do, but how do we do it so it's the right way to go about it and not just try to get something up on a website for the sake of something going up on the website. And so for us, we took a look at what programs we have that already attract visitors and how we can make that a little bit more accessible. And so we do every year a glass art festival. It's really to celebrate the glass art community within our area. And what we wanted to do was have that be a little bit more accessible for people with red-green color blindness. So we partnered with Enchroma, which I'm sure some of you have known that name, worked with. They're wonderful. They came to us because they saw an ad that we had done in the previous year about the festival, and they came to us and started a conversation. And they really wanted to understand, is this something our audience would be interested in? Is this something that our glass artists and our museums and a lot of the local destinations would be interested in? And so we did a quick poll with our glass art community and just tried to see, is this something of interest? And what we got back was that people were interested, but they weren't quite sure what it would do, right? What would the effect of it be, and how do they promote that? How do they make sure they say the right thing? And so Kent from Enchroma was really wonderful to help us with this project because we identified the different art locations and museums and artists that were interested, and then he was able to actually work with us to set up a webinar to discuss this, to discuss what the right type of glasses would be for those particular areas. So some of these museums cater more to children than they do adults, right? Some of them are indoor, some of them are outdoor. So we really took that approach to make sure that each glasses and a set of glasses that each location received was personalized to their location. And then when Refract happened in October every year, what we did was we hosted 3 local people who self-identified as of having red-green color blindness. And we brought them to Chihuly Garden Glass, which I don't know if many people, hopefully people know. I did my job right, yay. But it is a really great opportunity to see the wonderful color that is provided and allow these people to see it from a different experience than they perhaps had in the past. And so we brought a video crew and didn't really tell them too much about the project. We just allowed them to come into Chihuly Garden and Glass. We showed them the glasses. We had Kent explain what these glasses are able to provide. And then we just captured their raw reaction to it. And I'm happy to send the link afterwards, but it still gives me chills to this day. This happened 2 years ago, but it still gives me chills to this day because people were so excited for the first time. Someone stayed at Chihuly Garden and Glass for like almost the whole day just to be able to fully experience it. So my biggest takeaway with this is there's so much to do. There's so much that we want to action. Even after this, I think I have 10 pages of notes that I want to do right away. But I think the key is to really see where you can start with the programs you already have, right? Like build off of that, find the right partners, whether that be Wheel the World, whether that be Enchroma, whether that be 360, really identifying where you can start and then go from there, build off of that.
So it seems like, accessibility is like a race without a finish line, but there are a lot of starting lines outside of wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing here. So just so there are a lot of places to start. So thank you all for sharing what you've done and how you've started and where you are today. So we're really proud to feature this. This is a great way, and I think you're helping a lot of people understand it's not that intimidating. And just thank you.